you've tuned into ET now. This is Market Fatafat with me, Karunya Rao. Before we kickstart the show, here's a vote of thanks to all our viewers for choosing ET now once again as their top destination for all things markets, business, corporates and policy. Thank you so much for giving us a massive market share as well, 63% over competition over the entire English business news landscape. Thank you so much to our viewers once again. All right, let's kickstart the show. We have Mandar Jamsundekar joining us to talk about the technicals of various stocks that we'll be watching out for. And from the research desk, we have Pranay as well as Varun. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming on board. Let's start off the show with stock number one, which is ICICI Lombard. It's right now trading with a gain of about 0.9%, higher in trade. 1218 is exactly where it's perched at. What's the development that we're tracking? Well, it's a development associated with a block deal. FAL Corporation has sold 2.23 crore shares in the company for a price point of 1177 per share. FAL is a WS of a wholly owned subsidiary of Fairfax Holdings. So on back of this block deal, the stock has been in focus all day today. Okay, moving on to stock number two, HPCL. Mandar, how are you reading into the chart patterns of this one?
See, HPCL is right now at a very important level. So between 320 and 330, the stock has got a resistance. But yes, if this resistance breaks, the stock would see renewed interest in a fresh uptrend would start after the recent consolidation that the stock has witnessed for the last few months. So 320, 330 is a level which one needs to watch. A breakout would be interesting. Today in the intraday trade, the stock is trading down. But it's trading with low volume, so I won't read too much into that move. So watch 320, 330, which is a resistance. On a breakout above that, a long trade can be initiated.
Okay, well, that's HPCL for you. It's a tad bit weak today. It's down by 1.5%. But another stock that we would like to address today is PNB Housing. Pranay, how good were the Q2 numbers?
Well, not so good, Karunya. In fact, the disbursement data shows that the fresh loans in terms of disbursements are down by about 35% on a sequential basis and 41% year on year. While the management has said that the securitization trends and asset quality remain stable, clearly the control on lending growth and weak demand is showing in these disbursement numbers for PNB Housing Finance. Well,
Pranay, for a not so good set of numbers, the stock is really flying away in trade, so it's not a bad rally at all. PNB Housing up nearly 7.5% at this juncture. Moving on to stock number four, Hathway Cables. How are the Q2 numbers, Varun?
The Q2 numbers were actually pretty decent for Hathway Cable. The revenue jumped around 13% to 442 crores versus 391 crores. And the losses narrowed from around 84 crores to 2.42 crores. So very positive. Specifically on the segments, we saw 6% growth in the broadband business and a 16% growth in the cable TV business. So, it seems like the collection drive is working. The working capital cycle is improving for Hathway, and narrowing loss auguring well for the stock today.
All right, that's Hathway Cable for you. It's higher by 2% at this moment. Okay, NALCO on the other hand is slipping away in trade. It's down almost 4% the last time I checked. Yes, 4% losses coming in for that one at this juncture. Some negative news flow which has pulled the stock lower. Coal shortage has primarily impacted the aluminium production for the company. 3 units CPP under shutdown because of coal shortage being the primary factor. So on back of that, NALCO is definitely looking quite weak in trade. Mandar, Tata Steel, another name from the metal universe. How do you like the chart patterns of this one? What is your call?
When I look at the short-term charts, then the stock is right now trading range-bound. So 320 is a support and 390 is a resistance, and the stock has been respecting these levels for the last 2.5 months. So in the immediate short term, I think these are the levels which one needs to watch, and the stock will continue to respect it. 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 And the stock will continue to until unless we have a breakout. Once there's a breakout, we can discuss about the further direction. But for now, watch these levels.
That's Tata Steel for you. Like many of its metal index peers, even this one is looking pretty weak. It's down 1%. Let's pull up the Rise with India small case index real quick and see how that is faring. Because if you look at the benchmark indices, they seem to have slipped off a fair bit. Nifty is in the red. In fact, it's trading just higher by just above 11,450 mark. And Sensex is also looking very muted. Rise with India is still the small case index is still continuing to trade with gains. It's up 0.2% at 547.3. Okay, let's slip into a quick break at this juncture. We'll be back with plenty more stocks to watch out for on the other side. Welcome back. You're still watching Market Fatafat on ET now. Before going into break, we were discussing a couple of metal stocks, and let's keep it with that theme as well. Pranay, Hindalco is also looking pretty weak today. What's the development we're tracking?
Well, global major Alcoa has cut the 2019 aluminium demand forecast. Earlier, it was hoping for growth between 1.25% and 2.25%. That was at the start of this year. But after these recent quarterly results, they have sharply downgraded it, given the traction so far to a negative 0.6 and negative 0.4% kind of growth. So now the outlook is that the global aluminium demand will be a degrowth compared to a small growth that they were expecting earlier, and the surplus in alumina is also going to increase to about 1.8 million ton per annum versus the earlier expectation of half to 1.3. So while it is positive that tighter demand dynamics will lead to better pricing, it obviously shows that demand is also not so great, and therefore it's like a mixed picture coming in for Hindalco and NALCO.
Right, Hindalco is also looking pretty weak, down 2%. Meanwhile, Varun, Jain Irrigation is also cracking away big time. What exactly does the Fitch downgrade point out?
So what's happened for Jain Irrigation, unfortunately, is that they haven't been able to service their working capital debt. Now, this is the second blow in what comes to the company, whereas its previous overseas bonds that had been issued for $200 million at a rate of 7.25% were also downgraded. So now the composite rating comes to risk default RD from CCC, which already wasn't that great. And this payment default in the working capital debt sees a high risk of insolvency. And, the fact that these overdue government receivables aren't coming into Jain Irrigation in a timely manner only compound the issue further. So all in all, this is what's driving the stock price down today.
Right, okay, that's Jain Irrigation down 7% right now. Meanwhile, Eicher, let's pull up the stock. This one is really flying away in trade on back of that UBS upgrade. They've upgraded the stock from sell to buy. The target that they've given is 23,000 rupees per share. The target has been upped, do remember, from 18,000 previously to 23,000. So a massive 5,000 rupees per share sort of a jump that has taken place for UBS. This is derating and downgrade cycle is finally coming to an end. Volume growth will recover FY21 onwards with a major product refresh that's lined up. Margin concerns, they believe, are also overdone. They've raised the target multiple to 23x 1 year forward PE. So on back of that very, very bullish upgrade, the stock is looking very, very robust in trade, up almost 4%. Okay, moving on to stock number 10, Mandar, Imami. How exactly are the chart patterns looking like for this one?
See, Imami has been trading in a downtrend for the last 1.5 years. But right now, if you look at the short-term chart, then the last 4 months, the stock has been showing strength. It's managed to garner in that undercurrent. And right now, in the intraday trade, it's trading 8% up. So that's a strong move in the intraday trade. On the short-term chart, the stock is trading just below an important resistance at 345. So if this level of 345 is broken on the upside, then that would be the first indication of a change of trend happening. So watch that level, and whenever that happens, a fresh long can be initiated. Support on the downside comes in at 295 and 260.
Request you gentlemen to be with us.